Okay, welcome to the latest edition of the Iscah Q&A Series. This week's edition is about occupational ceilings, accountants, external auditors, civil engineers, the points test, E&S and the 485 visa. We've taken a dozen questions from our Facebook page over the last couple of weeks, re-edited them a little bit, and we're going to go through our answers here. Hopefully it helps you with your application. Okay, first question. Hi, I've had my degree assessed as a general accountant. I lodged an EOI in March with 60 points. Should I change my assessment to external auditor? Okay, so at 60 points, probably an accountant will not get an invite in the next 12 months, but that EOI does no harm, so you may as well leave that in there. You can go get another skills assessment as an external auditor from a different skills assessing body. So normally they won't give you two skills assessments from the same organisation. So if you went to the CPA, you might have to go to the Chartered Accountants, for example. Now that second EOI as an external auditor, you can lodge that at 60 points and it gives you two bites of the cherry. Look, I don't think 60 points will get an invite for either one, but it does double your chances. And the other thing you need to do is you need to try and improve your English marks, possibly do the Pearson test, the PTE test. The results are slightly better in that from students, and that might raise your mark to 65 or 70 points, which is probably the key for you. Okay, I graduated in July with 65 points. Will that be enough for a 189 visa as an accountant? Maybe. Okay, so 65 points is a little bit each way. Last year, last program year, 2,500 places, probably 2,000 went to the 70 point people or above, and the other 500 went to those below 70 points, so 65 points. This year there's 4,700 places. So again, if around 2,000 places went to people at 70 points or above, because it's pretty hard to get to that pass mark, there probably won't be too many more this year than last year, that gives 2,700 to the 65 pointers. So big chance that a big chunk of those will get an invite. Also external auditors are still there as an option. Some people will go RSMS, some people will just give up and not proceed to skill migration. So I think a lot of the 65 pointers already lodged will get an invite. If you're just lodging yours in July, August, I think probably about a 70% chance you'll get an invite this program year at 65 points. We'll just have to wait and see. But it is a chance, and certainly a lot of 65 pointers will get an invite this year. Hi sir, we were granted a 457 visa in May 2014 for 1 year. We then had to apply for a further 457 visa. In between the two visas we were on a bridging visa for 2 weeks. Can that 2 weeks count towards our 2-year period for permanent residence? Okay, so a lot of people go 2 years on a 457 and then move on to a 186 TRT after 2 years with that company. So the question is, between the two 457s they've held for that company, they were only on a bridging visa for 2 weeks in between those two visas. Can that 2 weeks count towards their 2 years? Yes, it can. The department have made a policy decision that if you're waiting from one 457 to the next with the same company, you can count that bridging visa period towards the 2 years as long as you're working full time in that period. Okay, I've just completed my degree in civil engineering in June, I guess this year. Will the less occupational ceiling for civil engineering affect me? Okay, so the occupational ceilings for a lot of occupations have changed, but the only ones that really matter are the ones that are close to using all their numbers. So civil engineering, for example, they used only 40% of their numbers last year. So even though civil engineering numbers have dropped, the occupational ceiling has dropped, it's only dropped 20%. So really, if the numbers remain the same, civil engineers will easily get an invite. It's the same with a lot of other occupations where they've changed the numbers, but it actually has no effect. The only ones that really get affected by changes in occupational ceilings are those ones that were met completely last year or very close to meeting, like accountants, some IT occupations, external auditors, things like that. But for you, civil engineering looks good. Okay, I'm doing a Masters of Professional Accounting. Any chance I'll get nominated for a 489? My sister lives in Melbourne. Okay, look, to be honest, I think Buckley's. I don't think you can get an invite. I think 0%. The reason being that immigration last program year, just finishing now, said all the accountant places will go to 189s, and only if there are some 189s that don't get an invite will some of those go over to the 489 visa. Now there are so many people waiting in 189s at 60 and 65 points as an accountant that they'll never use up those places, or they'll never have any accountancy places left to give to the 489 family sponsored. If the department follow that policy again, you've got no chance of getting an invite for a 489. If they completely change their policy from last year, hey, new ball game, you may well get an invite. We'll know in a few days' time. Okay, thank you for your information. Has Iscah got an office in Melbourne too? Okay, so look, we do applications for people based all around Australia. We also do applications for people all around the world. We do Skype interviews, phone calls, emails, etc. Most applications are lodged onshore. We don't need to have offices in other cities around Australia. We're based in Perth. We're very happy to help anyone from here. Wherever you are in Australia, we're happy to base an application here and manage it for you. So get in touch and see what we can do for you. We don't have an office in Melbourne. We may well make a trip to Melbourne shortly. We've got 2,500 people on our Facebook from Melbourne, so it's a really popular place for us. A lot of people are trying to keep up to date with all the information. So if we head over to Melbourne, we'll drop it on our Facebook page and we'd love to catch up with you. Okay, I've applied for a 187 visa as an onshore applicant. I've got a bridging visa A. My family was included in the visa application as onshore applicants. They now want to go overseas and meet their parents, family members, etc. Can they wait overseas for the visa to be granted? Short answer is yes. Wherever you lodge a 187 in the world, whether you're in Australia or out, when the visa is decided, again, you can be either in or out. It doesn't have to be the same location. Alright, so that's fine. Hi, I'm dependent and my wife is a student. When she applies for TR and PR, should I do the IELTS exam and how many marks should I get? If you do the IELTS, you need a 4.5 average. Just an average, so you can get 4 for reading and writing and maybe 5 for speaking and listening. That'll give you a 5 average. There are other ways you can get around not having to do the IELTS. There are other English tests. You might have had 5 years schooling in English. There's a number of different ways. But if you want to do the IELTS test, you need a 4.5 average. And the IELTS must be less than 12 months old for dependents. It can be less than 3 years old for main applicants, but 12 months for dependents. Okay, hey there, I'm having a heap of confusion regarding 5 points of spouse. I want to apply for a 189, I can get 55 points. My fiancée has an associate degree diploma. If she's assessed by the ACS, is that okay for 5 partner points? Okay, first of all, a fiancé doesn't give any points at all, but if that person later marries you, they can add points to the application. Or if you've lived together in a de facto relationship for 12 months, or 6 months if you get registered through a relationship in various states, then yes, they meet the first step of giving you 5 points. But fiancé by itself, engaged to be married by itself, is not good enough. So let's assume that you are now in a relationship with her, say de facto, so now you can count her skills. The question is, she needs to get a skills assessment in an occupation on the skilled occupation list. So there's a number of IT occupations on there. If she gets an ACS assessment under one of those and gets 6s in IELTS, aged between 18 and 49, yes, she'll get 5 extra points. Okay, let's see. I just want to ask about my condition. I'm holding a 457 visa after 10 months. Well, in 10 months it'll be 2 years. I've got 4.5 in IELTS. Is that okay for my 186 permanent visa? Okay, it's not. For the 457 visa, you just needed a 5 average with at least 4.5 in each. For the 186, it's higher. You need to get 5 in all 4 bands. So if you've only got 4.5 in some of the bands, that English test is not good enough. You'll have to redo the test or do a similar English test, maybe the Pearson test, which is slightly easier. Hi there, just one more question about my visa application. I'm going to apply for the temp grade 485. Can I add my partner on the same application? She's offshore at the moment. Okay, you can't add her to an existing application. You need to wait until you've got your 485 visa. Once you've got your 485 visa, then she can apply for her visa from overseas and then be hopefully granted the same visa as you to the same period and then come to Australia to join you. Okay, one of my friends is on a 457. His employer pays tax and super, but he's not paying his salary into his account. He's paying cash. Is that a problem for my friend when he applies for his PR? Okay, so immigration do accept cash payments for salary, but they don't like it because it's very hard to prove. And the onus is on the employer to prove that payment was still made, that records were still kept for all the cash payments. If you can show that, if the employer can show that, that's fine. If they can't show it, then your friend may have problems with their 457 visa later for their permanent residence, and the sponsor also can receive sanctions from the department for not keeping good enough records. You'll be very careful with cash. Okay, if my student visa is cancelled due to poor and unsatisfactory progression in study, and I've already applied for a partner visa before my student visa is cancelled, will I need to go back to my country? Okay, so if you've applied for the partner visa already before the student visa was cancelled, then your partner visa will not be affected. Processing will just carry on as per normal, and if you meet the requirements for the partner visa, it can be granted to you. End of the problem. That's because for the partner visa, there's no criteria that says you have to have abided by the conditions on your previous student visa. So hopefully that helps. Okay folks, that's it for this week. Remember, the rules are always changing. 1st of July is coming up soon, so there's probably going to be new immigration fees. There's an election, there might be a new government soon. So any questions at all, get in touch with us at www.iscah.com for a consultation, answer to a question, or find out how we can help you by managing your visa application. Okay, and I'll talk to you soon.